Coach, just the biggest emphasis in bye week for you guys. What was it kind of, trying to work out, kind of improve upon before this home stretch?
Well, let's start here, Jamie. It's exciting. It's an exciting day in Coug world, man. We got basketball getting kicked off. Just excited. Cammie's team's got tons of excitement. She's ready to go. A lot of hype around that team, and obviously the start of Coach Riley and the era that, just excited about that split today. So our team had a heck of a practice. Biggest thing is about just getting healthy and getting ready for this final stretch. That was the focus of really the last 10 days, and I thought we did a good job of that. And we really kind of changed from the first bye week to this one. We're going to front load the work this week, take it off their legs a little bit later in the week, and just make sure we're flying come Saturday night. And it's another opportunity to Cougs to show up, pack the stadium, and it's Palouse after dark, so we're excited about that.
You mentioned last week, kind of trying to figure out the five offensive linemen. You mentioned Christian and Rod, kind of that rotation in left guard. Do you have an idea of where you're going to kind of settle on for Saturday?
No idea. We had a heck of a competition today at practice. I mean, those guys have been rotating in and out with the top unit. I thought Rod came in and did some good things, and Christian, I think, has responded the way I would anticipate a highly competitive individual to do so. So we just got to be better. We got to be able to run the ball better. We got to be able to fire out better. So we'll continue to evaluate that as we go throughout the rest of the week.
You mentioned running the ball. Utah State's giving up, I think, 244 yards per game on the ground, and that was only playing one half against Genty. For you guys trying to establish the run, how much of that do you think is something you guys can exploit and to really kind of get Wayshawn going, get Leo going, get Javinsky going?
Well, I think it's just a unique football game. Javinsky's been out last week with a little bit of a sickness that we anticipate him being back. So it's been a lot of good work for Leo and Wayshawn to get a little bit of rhythm in that run game. There'll be multiple fronts, multiple blitzes, a lot of different packages, which can create some opportunity but can also, get you behind the chains at times. So we got to be physical at the line of scrimmage. We got to have a want to go out and establish it, because when we do that, we're a pretty dang good offense. So just getting the rhythm down, I think, will be big, and coming back to the well over and over so those guys get multiple touches in a football game.
With that left guard spot, what are you kind of looking for out of those two guys to kind of get some more what kind of are you looking for with those guys?
Well, I think it's unique, right, with Christian. I think he really got settled into the tackle. I think there's enough body of work that, he is maybe a better tackle. Rod is really good in the run game and his physicality. Christian's a lot better in the pass game. So it's like we could merge those two skill sets a little bit, so we just got to get Christian firing off the ball and be a little more confident with his attack points. Instead of worry about what might happen, let's just go make something happen. And that's just a mindset to that we're working on, and Rod just some pass pro stuff. So those are the things that we're looking for, just improvements out of both of those guys.
I want to ask about Keith Brown. I know I asked you about him maybe a week or two ago, but in terms of getting him here, what was that process like? And for him to kind of come on strong these last few games, what has that meant to you?
Chris is one of these, or Keith, sorry. Keith is one of these guys, because I was thinking about Chris Hudson. Keith is one of these guys where we've had this happen a couple times. Happened with Devin Richardson, okay, and happened with Keith Brown, where we recruited him the first time he was in the portal, told him about the opportunity, told him how we were going to coach him. They go a different place for a different reason, and then they call me as soon as they hit the portal again and say, Coach, I made a mistake. I'm ready to come back. And that's kind of how it happened, right, to be quite honest. We were at the tail end. It was right before the semester started. We kind of sat down and tried to find a way to where we could squeeze him back in, because we know he could contribute to this team. And we watched him enough and got enough information about him, and we felt really good about his personality. It was just same things that I always talk about guys like that. You got to relinquish these 4- and 5-star things out of high school. It doesn't matter, right? So just refocus yourself on what you need to do, and you just need to create an opportunity. And I thought that's what Keith has done.
Coach, this is the first time we're kind of getting to talk to you after that full 2025 schedule has been put together. Just what are your thoughts getting to play so many different conferences, different places, all those teams?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it too much, if I'm being quite honest. I saw it come out. I thought administration was in a tough spot, to put all those things together. And, obviously we have to do this, right? We have to go far and wide to find those games. It wasn't easy, just kind of knowing the behind the scenes of what went into it all. Obviously we got to go to the East Coast, I think 3 times, go to a top 25 Ole Miss team, which I think is great. Multiple bye weeks, and we'll still kind of see how it all forms out. But hasn't gotten a ton of my attention now. I'm just glad we have one. It's an attack point, and I know it has everything it needs to get us to where we want to go, and I think that's the main point.
Speaking to where you kind of want to go, talking about this season, though, when you sit with your players just kind of nearing towards the end of the season, you're talking about the goals, or kind of what are those discussions sounding like with your staff and your players about how they just want to attack these last four?
Just stay in the moment and control what we can control. There's going to be a lot of things as we go through the finish line that we cannot control, and it deserves zero of our attention. I'm not going to stand up here politicking for anything. Like, we need to go out there and execute better to win football games. And the only thing we could control today was how we showed up for practice. I thought we had a great Sunday night walkthrough, which led to a great practice this morning. And we just got to keep attacking the work of what it takes to win, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just about stacking up 1-0s. Stay in the dark. Don't let the noise kind of suffocate you. Just getting a lot of feedback from the players in the past. Sometimes you get ranked and you feel the pressure to perform, to the 20th ranked team in the country. We just need to be our best. That's all it takes. That's what got us here. It's just about staying true to our process that works. And there's a physicality to it that I think you gotta enjoy this time of year. So I just remind them to have fun. Pressure is a privilege. You got to look at it that way. We've earned things every step of the way here, and got to continue to do it as we work towards the finish line.
Coach, on a bye week, I'm just wondering, I know obviously you and your team are really focused on yourselves, but for you personally, how much attention, if any at all, do you pay maybe to results or different things going around the college football world at all on a bye week compared to normal?
I think just more focused on your team and like what you need to do to get better. We looked at a bunch of different things, sequencing, fourth down, third down defense, communication, how we can fix a bunch of those things. You're not really worried about everything else. It was a big recruiting weekend for us. I mean, we took this opportunity to have an official visit. So there's a bunch of different things that were in play. And we sent some coaches out for our final evaluations because that signing day early, we changed things a lot in college football with sometimes not exactly knowing like how it's going to affect everything. And not being able to go out and do home visits like in December, that's a big deal. So you're working to sign everybody now, and heck, signing day is only 4 weeks away.
And you kind of mentioned, obviously, at the beginning with the basketball starting today. I'm just wondering sort of what that relationship is like, especially even early with a coach like Riley coming in. Just what is that sort of relationship like between coaches amongst different sports, kind of just chatting or sharing?
Yeah, I think there's tons of support here. I think there's been – no surprise. Like I've always wanted to pick Cammie's brain. We talk quite often. She's big into the motivational piece, and I think we're always looking for new ideas and way to feed off each other. Just really proud of how she's built the program and where they're at and what they're going to do. And then Coach Riley's just getting started. I think he's really excited about the team that he's built and what they're capable of doing. And I think hopefully football is shown and volleyball and soccer is shown that you can have success through, kind of what we've been through the last couple of years. So hopefully it inspires them and they go out and have tremendous seasons because expectations are high, and that's fun. That's fun to be a part of.
Have you noticed about the quality of practices while being ranked this year versus while being ranked last year? What are the conversations and energy and just focus like? Is there any difference?
And I hope that doesn't affect our practice. I really don't. I hope we stick to the standard of what we do and how we want to do it. I think it's energizing, that we have a tremendous opportunity, but it's only about being 1-0, and it's only about Utah State.
And then we talked about, the goals that you have and that you have for your players. When you look at John Mateer's body of work, obviously first year as a starter, what does he need to do for the remainder of the year? What are some of your goals and vision for him?
Just stay true to himself. Stay true to what got him here, and that's the work ethic. It's playing within himself. It's continue to take a hard look at where he can get better. And John's a special, unique talent, and we're going to need him to play extremely well down the stretch to have success. I mean, we're a quarterback-driven offense, and he does everything that we need him to do to have success. So he just needs to be himself, keep getting better and keep growing and keep demanding excellence around him because he can't do it himself. And I think that's important, that everyone's got to play their role in that, and he understands that more than anybody.
Coach, you start off the season 7-1, but you don't break into the top 25 until that 7th win. Do you think that the perception that maybe you're not winning games by as much as you should be is affecting that at all?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that one time either. It's finding a way to win, because I think at the end of the day, it's all designed throughout history that at the end of the day, it's about winning. I think last year's team on the other side of the state, proved that. Sometimes it's ugly, and you just got to find a way. But that's what really good teams do, and that's what we've been able to do this year.
Back to the San Diego State game and also this one, as you're lining up with these games with future conference opponents, is there anything that happens behind the scenes for you guys to foster relationships? I know Utah State has a different coaching staff than they did when you were at Wyoming, for example. So is there any getting to know you process or maybe any extra talk on the field afterwards?
Well, no. I mean, first off, we really respect a lot of those teams that are coming into our league. They've been in the top half of the Mountain West for a long time, and I've always felt like those guys can be really competitive in the Pac-12. As far as this week's game, I mean, once again, you can look at the record or you can look at the facts. I mean, this is an explosive offense. They play a very unique brand of football, and it's the Art Briles, Dino Bavers, Josh Heupel tree now. They stand the guys next to the sideline, and it's almost like option. Right? Eventually, you're just going to get man coverage. They're going to get you in here in a phone booth, make you miss a deal, and you got to show your hand. You got to show your coverage. You get a lot of one-on-one matchups, and so it's a very unique team that you got to face. And they're one of the fastest teams in the country. And then defensively, they're going to attack you and try to get some turnovers. So it's a unique challenge, and each week will be a different unique challenge. So our job is to stay focused on the process of what we need to do to create that success, and I think that's what this week's about.
Coach, other than just making sure that you guys are healthy going into this week, what were kind of some of the just main things you guys focused on during the bye week?
Well, I think, listen, we looked at the big picture a little bit. I think I said that last Wednesday of just kind of some things that we have done and where we're going, right? Because I think as you go throughout your journey, you got to refresh your purpose and your mindset and your want to and your willingness to go out there and work hard every day. And I think we got a great group of kids. They've responded everything that we give them, like they really respond to it. We talked about being, as you go throughout your journey, and I said this on Wednesday, but, if we can give 10% more when teams normally this time of year get worn down and give 10% less, that's going to be the edge that we need to succeed. So as we go throughout this final 4 games, take them one at a time and stay focused on us.
I want to ask about Dean. I think he's been talked about a lot this year, and I think, there was obviously those struggles earlier on. It seems like those have been kicked, no pun intended.
I see what you did there. I
think for
it.
him to be putting on 3 different hats or 3 different shoes, another no pun intended, what have you just kind of seen in the way he's taken on this role, knowing that he's not just place kicking? Now he's doing 2 things that he hadn't done at all prior to this year.
Yeah, and I said this to somebody else. I don't know if I was on a podcast, but I think it's actually helped Dean. Because a lot of people, you can be an overanalyzer, and I think Dean was at times that. And all of a sudden, when you're punting, when you're kicking off, when you're doing all these other things, it's like all of a sudden I don't have time to stop and think about it. You're just doing. So Nick Haber will be back this week. Okay, he's full speed. He's ready to go and kick. And he was out there this morning and just doing great things. The ball is just popping off his leg. Just excited about that. And Dean will be back, ready to go. He actually broke his hand in that exchange at the end before the brawl. I want to be very, very specific on that, on the roughing. So just a splint thing that he should be good to go, and he'll kind of handle the other 2 duties, which he's beyond prepared for and has been doing a great job. But that's why we've always believed in Dean, right? We've always believed in him, and he was going to come through, and he'll make some big kicks for us down the stretch, there's no doubt.
Next question, I noticed that his hand kind of got folded in that collision. Any other injury notes for this week, guys coming back, guys unavailable, and so on?
No, I think Billy will finally be 100%. He's really been working through a knee deal, and I think he's finally 100% back to where he should be. We just feel really good about where we're at. I said Javinsky's sick, but we hope that he'll be back to play. It's that time of year, a little bit on the Palouse. Other than that, we feel really good about where we're at.
Just Quinn, expect him this week or not?
Yeah,
so
well,
much?
the next couple of days will really depend on that. So he ran on the side today, and then hopefully, like I said, Quinn's gritty. He's tough. He's worked through a ton of injuries, so hopefully he'll be back ready to go for the game.
Coach, forgive me if you've answered this maybe in the past, last year or something, but when we get into this time of year and weather becomes a factor in these games, how do you prepare the team for it? And we always talk about offense, ball security and stuff, but what can defense do to prepare for cold weather or wet weather games?
Yeah, we're out there in it. I was disappointed it actually rained after practice was over. I was hoping to get some, and Saturday right now it's 50-50 whether you get some rain. So Well, I mean, we have a couple opponents now down the stretch that come here. I mean, Utah State, cold's not going to affect them. Wyoming, cold's not going to affect them, right? So we got to be out in it. It's got to be part of who we are. I mean, we train in it. We talk about it really 365 days a year, that we'll be out in those elements, and we need to execute. And it still comes back to running the football and be physical. And on defense, you know, we've been really opportunistic taking the ball away. And sometimes the elements like that can help you. Obviously, more sleeves on ball carriers or ball slippery or whatever it is. I mean, those are big opportunities for a defense to take the ball away in certain conditions. But, you know, we talk about it. We'll compete. You know, if there's 35,000 people in the stadium, if there's nobody in the stadium, 70 degrees, 10 degrees, snow, it don't matter. Like, our competitiveness has to show up, and I think that embodies our football team.
I think this will be kickoff number 6 from 7 p.m. or later.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Cougs After Dark. We got another one next week, so go ahead. Ask you.
Well, no, I was just going to ask about like that dynamic, and is the preparation any different for, you know, those late kickoffs and how you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're now in a rhythm. I guess that's the one thing you say. We take the team, you know, to a movie on Friday nights. I'm running out of movies. You know, Venom was good. That was good. So I'm not exactly sure what we're going to watch this week, but to get another one next week, you know, I think it's a little tough. But you know, especially having a late one, I think New Mexico plays Friday night, so they get a day on us. But it's one of those things where you just got to kind of take it as it goes. CW has been a tremendous partner, and they kind of flipped it. You know, as I thought they would. They wanted the best game to be on late and to get those ratings. And it was weird. I was a Saturday night. The latest game was 5 o'clock last week, and I was like, where's the Palouse After Dark? You know, so we're bringing it back, and we're in rhythm on it. And bottom line, though, Greg, is like our fans need to show up. Okay, need to show up. Like on third down, it's got to be loud in there. It's got to have a huge impact for what this team is doing, because we are where we're at and we need them. And any edge that we can create to create momentum for our football team, I think is going to be very huge.
Movies do you show the team on Friday nights?
We go to the theater. I mean, we've been the Transformers 1, fantastic movie. Venom, they went to one scary one. I sat that one out. I'm not a scary movie guy. So I think we're going to Smile 2 this weekend. That looks scary. I don't know what I'm going to do there. So Wild Robot, I think that was a little heartstring one right there, if I'm being honest, if your kids want to go to that. But it's just kind of a time to take our team away and relax, you know, especially off of the bye week. I mean, I've learned and just got to getting a ton of feedback. Sometimes you just got to let these guys decompress a little bit before they go compete, and that's all that is.
Closed here. Do you guys?
Yeah, we go to Moscow. Remember, we stay over in the Best Western in Moscow anyway, so it ends up working out all right.
You kind of started to talk about Utah State and their offense. I'm just wondering what you've sort of seen. Obviously, their quarterback Petra has played a lot in the Big Ten, has that experience, and has some explosive numbers. Just what you've sort of seen from him in that dynamic.
Well, I think they started off with the Barnes kid, the Utah transfer, who was more of a runner than a thrower, and then they kind of transitioned to 7, where he's going to stay in the pocket and deliver the ball, and I think it's a tremendous fit for how they want to run offense. Number 1, phenomenal receiver, okay, maybe the best one that we're going to face all year. Now he's been out and reportedly maybe not playing. 23 is an amazing slot guy and got a lot of respect for the tailback. I mean, he has been efficient to effective and really been a physical player. I actually think the catalyst of their offense is the O-line. I've been very impressed with their center is super quick. They got a lot of pin pull schemes, a lot of trap schemes, a lot of counter schemes. I mean, they really, especially to the 4 down front, get a lot of guys in the same gap. I mean, it's really good offensive football, and they can score on you in bunches. The only time they've gotten, you know, south on the scoreboard is when they turn it over, right? And I think that happens, you know, quite naturally. So our hands are going to be full on defense. Like I said, they snap the ball with the 4th fastest pace in the country, so our guys got to be ready to fly around.
And Ansel was talking about, obviously, he's had the breakout, 4.5 sacks the last 2 games. He was talking about how the game is slowing down for him. For him, just the rest of the season, obviously, you love the sack production, but 3 sacks in a game is towards the top of that kind of production. What do you sort of want to see out of him that shows you that he's still continuing that growth the last 4 games?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, his hesitation has stopped. You've really felt that the last couple of weeks where he's going out there and playing through his hands, through his technique. I mean, we had a break. He was a head-down strike guy, And man, that was a tough thing to break. And now he's playing through his technique. His eyes are up. He's playing fast. I think he's just trusting it. And I think when you break through that barrier as a player and there's confidence in everything that you're doing and you're that talented, man, you're going to start seeing some fast results. And you're going to be like, how did that happen? Well, he just broke through the barrier of that conviction level, that trusting in his technique, doing it the right way, and now he's doing everything with tons of energy. I loved his leadership at the last game too. I mean, I thought he brought it on the sideline and in the locker room.
I wanted to ask, what do you remember and what did you learn about your previous matchup with Utah State? Obviously, it was a long time ago, 3 years ago, September. Tough ending, but what, for you, just a second year here at WSU and in that moment, what did you learn from that game?
Well, played these guys a bunch of times, 3 times when I was at Wyoming, and then obviously the 21 matchup. Man, kind of a slugfest to start. I thought we were good matching up on them early. We got injured a little bit and then kind of fell apart late. Had a couple different takeaways and just weren't able to close the door. That this team, you're never ahead in this team. Like, you got to put this team away. I think Boise jumped on them extremely fast, right? And then they put 30 on them in the second half. Like, you just can't ever get relaxed against this team because they can score so fast. So they've always had playmakers. Obviously I played against, I think, Chucky Keaton and Jordan Love and, some guys that can really spin the football. So they've been really talented there. So obviously defensively that night they played really well too. So look at the history of the last 5 years of Utah State. These guys have played some really good football. So that's what I remember. And, just like anybody else, if they play better than you, they can beat you. All right, so we got to out-execute them on Saturday night. All right, thanks, guys. Go Cougs. Travel safe.